Hello and welcome. My name is Amanda and this is my channel, Her Pacific Northwest Washington Life, and today I am kicking off the week 45 reading vlog. I have two books to wrap up for you from last week. I finished them before the end of Sunday, but I had already uploaded and wrapped up my vlog from last week, so I didn't get a chance to talk about these. So I will do that here in a little bit. But just a bit of a recap of how my past 2 months have been going. I have been participating in the 3-month-long Fall Into Reading Challenge that was created by Tia over at Tia and All the Books, and she has a list of other lovely co-hosts helping her out with this. There is an option to do the 15 prompt board or the 24 prompt board. All of the prompts on the 15 prompt board are also on the 24 prompt board, and then there's extras for the 24 prompt board. I decided to do the 24 prompt board because if you split it out over 3 months, it was about 8 books a month, and I can read anywhere between, I don't know, like 9 to 12 books a month. I think I read something like 15 books this month, but I also had some really short ones in there. But with that being said, I actually, with my last two books, finished up the prompts. So now I pretty much have all of November to read what I want to read. I don't have any plans except for the Gilmore-a-thon, which takes place the week before Thanksgiving. I think it's the 15th through 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. But that's just a week-long readathon that I will pick prompts for when I get closer to it. So basically it's kind of just a whatever I want to read sort of month, which is really cool because I participate in a lot of readathons and reading challenges that does allow for quite a bit of flexibility, but also I try and set books for them and try to get to those books and don't get to kind of be a bit of a mood reader. So with November being that in between the spooky season and the holiday season, or the Christmas season for me, which is what I celebrate, I can kind of just read some more fantasies and do things like that. So to wrap up last week, I finished The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. This I gave a 2-star rating. It was cute. I have a lot of nostalgic feelings for the film that I watched quite a few times when I was younger. And I think just with the writing style and stuff, this is a middle grade book, but the writing style is a bit complex, I feel like, for middle grade, and I was stumbling over, like, the sentences didn't flow very well, and I kept stumbling over and having to reread sentences to figure out what the author was saying. But for those of you that don't know, I'm just going to read the synopsis on the back. It says, on Halloween night, 8 trick-or-treaters gather at the haunted house by the edge of town, ready for adventure. But when something whisks their friend Pip away, only one man can help the boys find him. Join the sinister carapace clavicle Moundshroud as he takes them on an unforgettable journey through space and time, deep into the mysteries of the spookiest of all nights. Can the boys save Pip before it's too late? So essentially what happens in this story is there are these 8 boys who are going out trick-or-treating, and they stop by their friend Pip's house, and Pip is not feeling very well. He's a little bit unhealthy, so he tells the boys to meet him up at this haunted house and he will see them there. So when the boys get there, they meet Moundshroud and see his giant Halloween tree, which has all these lit jack-o'-lanterns all over it and different carved faces and things like that. And basically they go on an adventure to save Pip. And along this adventure, they are all dressed up in different things. So we've got Tom, who's dressed as a skeleton. We have a boy dressed as a witch, another boy dressed as a mummy, and other things like that. And so they travel to different places and kind of learn the meaning behind their costumes and the meaning of Halloween and how it is celebrated across the world, which I think is really interesting and really cool. And it's just fun because it's a Halloween story. So it was an okay read. I think for me, I prefer maybe to watch this versus reading it, just again because the language was a bit tricky, even for me being an adult reading it and already knowing the story. It's a bit fuzzy for me because it's been a while since I've seen it. But I think it's good. I think at some point Maddie will maybe be ready to read this when he becomes a bit more of a reader. He kind of struggles with it right now. It's not his favorite thing to do. He would much rather play video games, and right now we have to put reading down as a chore so that he actually reads and works on his vocabulary and comprehension and things like that. But I think that would be a fun one for him to read at some point. And then I also finished Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which I really enjoyed. I give this a 4-star rating. I listened to the audiobook, which was something just under 15 hours, and I liked this. I feel like not a lot of things happen in this story. It's very much a character-driven story, and it's spooky, but not in your typical sense. This was different than what I expected it to be. I expected it to be somewhat of a ghost story, but really the character whose point of view we're hearing things told from, the new Mrs. De Winters, we don't actually get her first name, is telling us about her new marriage to I don't even remember his name, Mr. De Winters, Maxim, that's his name, and how he is the owner of this great house called Manderley, and his late wife Rebecca passed away. She was drowned out at sea. She was sailing and her boat crashed, essentially. And so it was about a year ago. And so the new Mrs. De Winter comes to Manderley, and the presence and the idea of Rebecca still hangs on to everyone, like all of the people who are employed by Mr. De Winter, everything in the house and things like that. And so the new Mrs. De Winter has to figure out how to navigate this world living under kind of the shadow of Rebecca and things like that. So I thought it was really interesting, and it wasn't what I was expecting, so I'm glad that I ended up really liking it, because I know a couple people who have tried reading it this year and have DNF'd it. They thought it was boring, so I'm glad that I didn't think it was boring and that I was able to enjoy it, and now I've got another classic under my belt. So for today, I pretty much have a blank slate for the start of this week, or this whole week, since I finished all of the books that I had. I had no books carry over. So I started listening to Fox by Nadine Brandes on audiobook. I think I've got it through Scribd right now, and I want to say it's something around the 14-hour mark as well. And this one follows, I'm just going to read. This isn't the synopsis, but it's kind of like a catch thing. It says, Thomas Fox is turning to stone, and the only cure to the stone plague is to join his father's plot to assassinate the King of England. So his father is Guy Fawkes, which, if you aren't familiar with Guy Fawkes, on the 5th of November in, 16 something, I want to say it's like the early 1600 somethings. The start of this is 1604. He blew up the Parliament building in London, I believe. I'm not very, very familiar with it, but I do know a little bit about Guy Fawkes and like Guy Fawkes Day and stuff, because I do have colleagues in the UK who have told me a bit about it. But this is actually a fantasy historical fiction, and in this like alternate, I guess, London or England, we have these people who can manipulate colors. They can bond with a specific color, and that color gives them like abilities over certain things. I'm only into chapter 3, so I don't have a full grasp of it, but I know, I want to say green is something to do with like healing and medicine. Yellow, I want to say, is something to do with fire. And there's this thing there's either keepers or igniters. I believe keepers are the people who only bond with one color, and igniters are kind of the selfish people who want to be able to control more than one color. So this is already really interesting. Thomas is 16, and he has just been kicked out of the school because you have to get a mask from your father. Fathers have to pass them down to sons, and moms have to pass them down to daughters. And his father refused to make him a mask, and without a mask you can't bond with a color. So right now he's traveling to try and find his dad and make him make a mask. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else this is like. I am also starting a buddy read today with my friend Rainy at Rainy Day Reads. She started yesterday and finished the novella that we were supposed to read, and already is in chapter 7 of the book we're gonna read. So we're reading books 0.5 and 1 in the Sloane Krause series, I think, by Ellie Alexander. And this is a series, it's a cozy mystery series that takes place in Leavenworth, Washington, which is not very far from me. So it's kind of a little flip, whereas we were reading the Denora Chronicles set in Denora, Pennsylvania, and that's near where Rainy lives. So she was able to give me a lot of extra context and information about the area and things like that. And now we're flipping to somewhere that's pretty local to me so that I can do the same for her, hopefully. But the first book is called Trouble is Brewing, which I think takes place in Ashland, Oregon. And then the next book is Death on Tap. So these are all centered around a brewery and things like that. But I'm really looking forward to reading these. It's been a while since I've read a cozy mystery, and I heard Tara at Buzzwords Books talking about this series, and she mentioned Leavenworth, and instantly I perked up. I was like, oh my gosh, I know where Leavenworth is. It's this beautiful little Bavarian town nestled in the mountains and stuff, and it's mostly a touristy place, but it's gorgeous in the summer, gorgeous in the fall. They do a tree lighting ceremony at Christmas, and I think they do like sleigh rides, and it gets mountains, and it's just magical and beautiful and things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to make a trip over to Leavenworth so I can show you guys around while I'm reading this series, but I'm not keeping any promises there. We'll see, but really looking forward to getting into that with Rainy. Other than that, my plans for November are maybe potentially to read some of these books I have left that I had slated into the Fall Into Reading Challenge. We've got The Diviner's Light by Libba Bray, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, Roseblood by A.G. Howard, and Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. But I'm not 100% committed to getting those read. The book I really want to get to is the Complete Sherlock Holmes Volume 1 by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is the Barnes & Noble Classic. I have a bind up. I'm looking at my viewfinder. You can't see the other one, but I've got a bind up of Volume 1 and Volume 2 of all of his stories and like short stories and things like that. So I think it would be a lot of fun to finally read these during a month that I have pretty open. I think that's it for my reading updates right now. I need to take down all of my Halloween decorations, like my spider venom and the spider webs on my porch, because tomorrow is supposed to be pretty stormy, so I need to bring that all down before it gets too blustery and wet. And that's about it. Sky will be home here rather soon, so we're gonna enjoy the evening together, and I'll try and check in tomorrow with anything else I have to tell you. I do have this week off of work, so I'm really looking forward to just kind of relaxing and catching up on school and things like that. But I don't have anything else going on right now, so I will check in with you when I do. I am super overdue for a check-in. I meant to check in Tuesday, but I was studying and then watching my neighbor's two boys because they are moving, so they were packing up, and I offered to lend a pair of hands. That way they could have the boys out of the way while they were packing up. Yesterday I was studying and then I didn't feel the best, and today studying, went out for brunch with my dad, and now I've got a short break before the boys come over again while their parents finish up probably the inside. They probably have like painting things to do. I don't know exactly what's going on. So I do have some reading updates. I think I told you in Monday's clip that my physical books, or I guess my ebooks that I was going to start reading, were the first two books in the Sloane Krause Cozy Mystery series written by L.A. Alexander. I'm buddy reading both of these with my friend Rainy at Rainy Day Reads. And the prequel novella, it's a little short. I want to say it's something like 45 pages. It's 0.5 in the series, and it feeds into one of her other series, which it might be called like the Bake Shop Murder, I don't know. But basically the series it feeds into takes place in Ashland, Oregon. And in that series, in Trouble is Brewing, it is told from, oh gosh, I don't even remember her name. It's told from the protagonist's point of view in the Ashland, Oregon series. But it's where we meet our main character, Sloane, as they meet each other. So it was really short, really cute. Just a quick little thing. Sloane and her husband, Mac, are down in Ashland for a brewery tasting convention, like street fair sort of thing. I don't remember what it's called. And Sloane visits Tort, which is the bake shop that the main character of that series runs. And she ends up bringing that character over to the I don't remember what it's called. And sampling, lets her sample like the different beers and stuff they have, because they want to kind of partner a little bit and maybe use one of the beers in some of the baked goods and things like that. And one of the kegs, it's a special release thing. It's a brand new recipe, goes missing, and they have to go on the hunt to find it. So nobody dies in that one. It's just a cute little like mystery, we gotta solve this crime thing, which was fun. I think I ended up giving it a 2-star rating. I think I would have enjoyed it more had I read it with the other series, but because this was our first meeting of Sloane, I kind of wanted the story from her point of view so we could get to know her and like already get to be in her mind a little bit better. And just as like a jumping off point for this series, I don't think it's 100% necessary. It kind of sets her up a tiny bit, but not a whole lot. So Rainy and I both finished that like in one day, and then Rainy took off a little bit and started reading the first like novel in the series, which is called Trouble is Brewing. And the main portion of the series actually takes place in a town in Washington State called Leavenworth, that is a Bavarian styled town. It's been years and years and years since I've been there. It's only maybe like a 3-hour drive or so from me. Nestled in the Cascade Mountains. It's just absolutely gorgeous. There's a river that runs like alongside the town. I have inner tube down that river and stuff in the summer when the water level is really low, and it's just a very gorgeous town, very picturesque. Really feels like you're kind of in old world Germany and things like that. So we meet Sloane again. It's told, I think it's told in first person. I think so. And at the very beginning, Sloane finds Sloane is it's kind of important to the story that Sloane is a child who's in the foster care system. And so when she meets her husband, Mac, she, for once, has a family. Like, she loves the Kraus, not the Klaus, family so much. His parents, his brother, and they have a son together that she just really loves what she does. She loves it being a family operation and things like that. Well, we, at the very beginning, find her husband cheating with a bar wench in Sloane's office, and she just feels like everything's crumbling down. So she chooses not to work at the family-run brewery anymore, and from her brother-in-law, Hans, she gets recommended for this new brewery in town called Nitro. And it's a Seattle transplant, big corporate guy who had a home brewery kind of on his off time when he wasn't in the big corporate world. And his aunt passed away and left him everything. She even had this building on like the main street in Leavenworth, and so he decided to turn that into a brewery. And so Sloane goes to work with him, just kind of as like marketing and help with sales, help with like kitchen and things like that. And then there's a murder that happens, and we have already had the murder. We've got the suspects, and I'm about 55% of the way through now. And so I think some more things are going to come to light here really soon. Some creepy, shady things are happening, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Other than that, my audiobook has been Fox by Nadine Brandes, and I have that much left. I've got like 3.5 hours left in the audiobook, and it's kind of perfect because that follows the son of Guy Fawkes, and today in the UK is Guy Fawkes Day, and Sky and I have plans to watch V for Vendetta because I've never seen it, because it's the 5th of November, and I'm really looking forward to finishing that up. I think it's really interesting how, because this is it's a historically set fantasy, so it obviously takes place in the lead up to why Guy Fawkes blew up the Parliament building. But there's magic with this, and there's colors, and these people train to be able to use and talk to colors. And then when they graduate, they get these masks that help them kind of like funnel the strength or the powers of the color. So we've got two distinctions. We've got keepers, which are people who believe that only one color should be manipulated, used by one person, like you should only be able to bond with one color. And we've got igniters who believe that you should be able to use whatever color you want. And King James, that's his name, right? Is an igniter, and the keepers believe that there's this plague going on, and that was caused because the igniters are these greedy people who want to be able to wield more than one color power, and that's what caused the plague. Whereas the igniters believe that the keepers are the ones causing the plague. I think we figured out what the plague is being caused from, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So we're just kind of following Thomas as he's been a little bit abandoned by his dad because he has had the plague for, at this point, I think 2 years now. It has not spread. It's only been, I think, in his left eye. And so he was supposed to get a mask, but his dad, Guy Fawkes, said, "I'm not giving you a mask." So Thomas goes to London to find his dad and to find out that his dad is a part of this big plot and rebellion thing to overthrow the king. So Thomas is trying to figure out where he stands, whether he stands with the keepers like his father, or whether he, because the white light, which is what talks to the igniters and like convinces them to wield more than one color power. The white light's been talking to him, so Thomas doesn't know really where he falls. He wants to be a keeper like his father. He's pledged himself to help this rebellion, but also there's a girl that he knew from school who is one of the most powerful like magic color users that he knows, and she's an igniter, and he's like, well, she's really good, so is it really bad thing? Like, should I distance myself from it, or is it maybe not as bad as people think? So he's trying to figure that out, and lots of things are going to happen, I'm sure, by the end of this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going. Other than that, week has been going okay with studying. I could have been studying a lot more, but I've had some things show up. It's really, you think like when you take time off, you're like, oh yeah, I'm not working for 8 hours. I'm going to have 8 hours to clean the house or do this or do that. And when you don't have the structure, when you don't have a boss like looking over your shoulder to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's really hard to kind of like motivate yourself to get the things done. So I've been finding I've only really been studying like 1 or 2 hours a day, which is what I normally do when I'm not working. So I would really like to kick my butt into gear, but I came down with a little bit of a cold. And so yesterday I took a nap on the couch. Tuesday, like I said, I watched my neighbor's boys for most of the day. They have a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old. So, and I don't have, she didn't bring over anything that I could set the baby in. So it was basically just Skylar and I passing him back and forth all of Tuesday night, which is totally fine. I'm getting my baby fix and baby snuggles in. But I don't know how long the boys are going to be with me today. So that's totally fine. I'm glad I'm off this week so I can help them out and stuff. But I also need to stop coming up with excuses for not studying. So tomorrow I'm definitely kicking my butt into gear. But she's been over there. My dad and I went to brunch this morning, and she's been over there since a little bit after I got back. So I'm gonna let her know that I'm free to take the boys whenever she's ready to pass them off, and just kind of see how the rest of the day goes. So I will try and check in tomorrow or sometime before I close out this vlog on Sunday, but who knows if that'll actually happen. So I will check in with you soon. Alright, quick reading update. My voice is a little off right now, if you can tell. I haven't been talking very much, but I guess maybe that's a bit why it's a bit froggy too, is because I haven't been using it, but it could also be just because I've got a little bit of a cold. If I can't really do this with you on my lap, can you get off for now, please? No? Okay, will you sit down then? Not on my hair. Thank you. So last night I finished Fox by Nadine Brandes. I had about 3.5 hours left, and I was listening to it on 2 times speed while I was scrolling through Instagram, and then I noticed that I was getting a little too distracted. So I basically turned my phone off and was listening to it with my eyes closed. But I think at some point my mind was wandering, or I fell asleep or something, because there was a lot of the ending that I didn't catch or understand what was going on. So this morning I re-listened to the last 3.5 hours excuse me, while I was cleaning and stuff. And I'm giving it a 4-star rating overall. I thought it was a really intriguing idea behind the 5th of November and the attempt to blow up the Parliament building in London. We did watch V for Vendetta last night, and I thought it was interesting just to kind of see the parallels between both the stories and things like that. So I enjoyed that a lot. Glad to have it under my belt. and glad that I technically finished it on November 5th, even though I had no idea what was going on. So today I'm kind of taking a break from studying. I'm just not feeling the best. I don't want to sit and stare at a screen. And there's a lot of cleaning I want to do. We're going to go out to dinner tonight for my mom's birthday, which is actually November 11th. And so I want to have the house cleaned before the boys get home. So that way when they get home, we can basically leave straight from here to go to dinner. We're just going to go get Mexican food. But while I'm cleaning, I decided to pick up another audiobook, and I'm reading Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which this one, what I know about it is there's magical grimoires, and that's about it. Actually, I guess grimoires are magical. You don't need that identifier. But it's about an orphan girl named Elizabeth, who's been raised in one of the Ostermere's greatest libraries. She's grown up among the tools of sorcery, magical grimoires that whisper on the shelves and rattle beneath iron chains. If provoked, they transform into grotesque monsters of ink and leather. And one day she hopes to become a warden of them, which means she'd be charged with protecting the kingdom from their power. So there's going to be lots of shenanigans that go on. I'm sure there's a young sorcerer named Nathaniel Thorne who comes into this, and I assume they're going to have to work together a bit to kind of figure things out. So I'm not very far into it. Elizabeth is 16, and I feel like this story is a lot younger than I think its intention. So I'm hoping that changes a little bit, just because, like, to me, the main character feels more like she's 14. So I don't know if that's just how it's gonna feel or what throughout the story, but it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I really enjoyed An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, so I'm hoping I enjoyed this one as well. But I've heard a couple mixed reviews on these. I know quite a few of my friends didn't enjoy this book very much, so it'll be interesting to see what my thoughts are on it. But I am gonna rest my voice now some more and get back to cleaning the house. So when I have an actual update, I'll check in later. I'm hoping to finish Death on Tap tonight because Rainey finished it yesterday, and I told her I could probably finish it, but then I was prioritizing Fox instead of Death on Tap, so we'll see if I'm able to get that finished tonight, but that's going to be my priority. So hopefully I'll have another check-in for you tomorrow with another update on a book that I finished. So normally my snake plant lives on a shelf above the pellet stove, but I pulled it down because I figured I would put it on the table to let it get more light, and then I noticed it's got a little baby growing here. I'm not sure if that's completely separate or if it's attached somehow, but I'm gonna let it grow a little bit longer and then maybe here soon repot this thing, separate them if I can. But I'm excited to have a little plant baby. Finished Death on Tap last night, and I'm giving it a 4-star rating. It's been a while since I've read a cozy mystery, and I had a lot of fun reading this one. I did guess probably halfway through who I thought the killer was, and I was right, which is fine because I don't think it spoils anything really in cozy mysteries to figure out who the killer is before it's even revealed. I really like the characters of the story, and I'm really intrigued to see where else it goes and what else the author does with Leavenworth as the backdrop. So I'm looking forward to continuing the series. Rainey mentioned that I think there's only 5 stories or 5 books in the series, and she said we could totally knock them out before the year is over. So I think that's what we're going to try to do. But Rainey has more like concrete reading plans in November than I do, so we're going to kind of go based off of when she's ready to jump into the next one. I think it's The Pint of No Return, maybe, but I'm not entirely sure if that's the title. And I know I've got the first, I had the novella and then the first 2 actual novels on my Kindle, so I'll be ready for that whenever she's ready. But with that being done, that means I now need another physical book, since I'm still listening to it's just Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, so I need a book to read in bed. So I was thinking of having Skylar pick, and I don't know, do you want to go in blind, or do you want to actually read the synopses? Blind, okay. Well, you can't look.
What's the point?
So, how do you want me to set it up then?
Tell me what my choices are.
Oh, you don't want to see the covers or anything either?
I want to see the covers. Know what the choices are.
Covers and titles.
Yes.
Okay. You want to know anything about them?
No.
Nothing about them.
I'm judging the books by their covers.
Okay.
That was bad.
That's okay. First choice here is Roseblood.
That's the Phantom of the Opera one. We talked about this.
We did talk about this, yeah. So this is the Phantom of the Opera one. Second choice, don't look at it before I show the people. Second choice is The Dollmaker of Krakow.
Okay.
And third choice is Vasa in the Night. So here's your choices. 1, 2, 3.
You're gonna read Vasa in the Night.
Oh! What made you pick that, good sir?
Because you can't tell what it's about from the cover.
Can't tell what it's about from the cover. Do you want me to read you the synopsis?
No, but you can read the people's synopsis.
Oh, okay. So it says, in the enchanted kingdom of Brooklyn, the fashionable people put on cute shoes, go to parties and warehouses, drink on rooftops at sunset, and tell themselves they've arrived. A whole lot of Brooklyn is like that now, but not Vasa's working class neighborhood. In Vasa's neighborhood, where she lives with her stepmother and bickering stepsisters, one might stumble into magic. But stumbling away, again, could become an issue. Babs Yag, the owner of the local convenience store, has a policy of beheading shoplifters, and sometimes innocent shoppers as well. When Vasa's stepmother sends her out for light bulbs in the middle of the night, she knows it could easily become a suicide mission. But Vasa has a bit of luck hidden in her pocket, a gift from her dead mother. Erg is a tough, talking wooden doll with sticky fingers, a bottomless stomach, and a ferocious cunning. With Erg's help, Vasa just might be able to break the witch's curse and free her Brooklyn neighborhood, but Babs won't be playing fair. It's inspired by the Russian folktale Vasilisa the Beautiful, and her years of experience teaching creative writing to students in New York City public schools. Acclaimed author Sarah Porter weaves a dark yet hopeful tale about a young girl's search for home, love, and belonging. The reason I wanted to read this is because it's got Russian-inspired fairy tale stuff to it. I don't really like stuff set in New York. New York doesn't appeal to me, but I wanted to read it because of the Russian folklore. So I'm glad you picked that one, because that's the one that I was actually going to pick for myself before I decided to give you a choice.
There you go.
Thanks, darling.
You're welcome.
Alright, I'm gonna maybe read a little bit of this right now while the kid's visiting the neighbors next door. And then I told Skylar that what would make me feel better is a trip to the bookstore, so we're gonna do that here in a little bit. And I'll show you what I pick up if I get anything. Alright, I am gonna go ahead and close out this week's vlog here. I haven't been really doing a whole lot the rest of the day. I did film a Color Street nail demo for my friend's Facebook group so that people can watch when they're trying to figure out the product and things like that. Other than that, it's just been kind of a loungy day. It's been nice and cold outside, so we haven't been outside a whole lot. But I did read the prologue, I think, for Vasa in the Night, and it seems really interesting. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that a lot more
this week. And then the other book I'm carrying over is going to be Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which I'll be able to get a good chunk of that read. Well, finish, because I'm almost halfway through that now, for next week. So I think I'll just give an update on Sorcery of Thorns in next week's vlog and leave you all here. That way I can be ready to leave in an hour with the boys when we're ready to drop Maddie Boy off. So as always, I would just love to know what you got up to this week, what your favorite read was, and all things like that. I think my favorite read was probably Fox. I really enjoyed the magic system with that. But I am really looking forward to seeing what next week has in store. So if you feel so inclined, please do let me know down in the comments below, and I will chat with you there until my next video. Bye!